our data loaded and we've seen how we can get kind of a quick picture of the data sets, let's move into plotting. All right, now the first question in our homework was to take this Facebook data and make a bar plot out of it. So let's go ahead and see how we can do that with R. Before we get started, we need to make sure that we load in the library that we're going to use for plotting, which is ggplot. And the easiest way to do that is just to load in the tidyverse. So I'm going to add another little code snippet here. I'm going to write library parentheses tidyverse. All right, and just make sure to run that so that that's in there. Okay, so, and once we have that, there's a basic kind of template for plotting. And what it is that we are going to put, we're going to call it ggplot, and then here will go our data. And inside of this AES, we will put whatever columns in the data we want drawn on the plot. Okay, and then we'll add on any kind of geometries. So as we've seen, geom underscore whatever the shape we want to add is. Now maybe that's not very good notes, but let's see this in action here, okay? So again, we were asked to draw, our first question was to draw a bar plot of Facebook users. So when we looked at Facebook, we saw that it has this country column and users. So what that means is we want this country along the horizontal axis, or the what we'll call X, and we'll have users on the y-axis. So again, following our little template here, we're going to add a code chunk with R, and I'm going to say ggplot. Now my data is Facebook, and I want to draw a plot of users, and again, this has to be just like it is in the data, okay? So either I could look at this head, but also in the data itself, it shows me those column names exactly. So capital U and lowercase sirs. All right, so U, well, actually, country will be my X, and then Y will be users. Okay. So that's the first piece, and then I just have to say plus and add what the geometry that I want is. Now here I want geom bar. The only thing is that I need one more argument so that it will plot, because we have a summary of the values here. Instead of this being a range of values that this would collapse, it's each of these values is actually what we want to plot. So we're going to just say stat equals identity. All right, and if we run that, we get a little bar plot, and it doesn't appear in your plots like it does with the just the R script, but there we go. Okay. Now there's a couple of things about this plot that maybe we don't like. One thing is this kind of, all the labels being jumbled on top of one another. But the idea with ggplot is that we can continually add other elements to the plot, just like we added this geometry. So there is a plus coord flip, and that will take the X and Y axes and flip them. And by doing so, I think we get a better looking graph. Okay, the only other thing I want to do is add a title. So I'll put plus labs title equals Facebook users by country. Okay, and now if we run that, there we go. We've got ourselves a nice plot. Now the second question asked you to do a similar thing except for the increase column. So we can even just kind of copy this as a template, and the only thing I need to change is instead of Y being the user column, I want it to be the increase column. All right, and then I'll change my title to reflect that increase in Facebook users by country. Okay, and there we go. So there's our bar plots, okay? Again, the idea is that we specify what columns we're going to draw, then we apply the bar geometry. Again, remember, if it's already aggregated, we have to say the identity so that it just uses these numbers as the bars. And to make it horizontal instead of vertical, we did the chord flip, and to add a title, we use labs.